Hi, I'm Killer Tomato, coach of the Hartford Herdiers, and this week I'm fighting the coastal Alolan Raichus. And this is a brief team builder before the battle, and obviously I have not seen the opponent's team yet. And the first mod I wanted to add to fight him is my Mew. I figured if I went Rock Polish and Life Orb, I had a pretty good chance to sweep his team with these three moves. It covers pretty much everything for super effective damage, except I think the Behemoth and the Slurpuff. I may be missing one of the other ones, and I'm having enough speed EVs to outspeed his fastest mon after a Rock Polish, which is superior with a Choice Scarf. And yes, that even outspeeds Mega Swampert in the rain. And then the rest go into special attack and then HP for some bulk. The next one is Piloswine, who I added because I needed a stealth rocker, and Aerodactyl just did not seem to fit here. It's weak to pretty much every member of his team, whereas Piloswine tanks actually a few of his mons pretty well. It can hit back for some good damage with EV like Thick Fat. And it's standard EVs, just attack and HP, standard moveset, Ice Shard for priority, Icicle Crash for damage, or Earthquake for damage, and then Stealth Rocks like I wanted. Nothing too out of the ordinary with this particular set. Then Scizor is here. For one reason is for the Slurpuff, in case it sets up Belly Drum, in which case I have enough attack EVs invested to one-shot it with Iron Head, or if it's low enough, I can Bullet Punch. And then I can live one of anything at +6 from it. Also, it walls a couple of other mons, like it tanks some grass hits, just a couple grass mons, as well against the Celesteela. Well, not it tanks the Celesteela. I won't say it does well against it. And then the next mon is Florges, who I brought because I needed a special wall, and this does pretty well against a few of his mons. And it's standard type with Hidden Power Rock over Protect, just because I needed to be able to hit his fire types, as well as I wanted Psychic so I could hit Nihilego, otherwise I'd be completely walled by it. And then the next set is Rotom Mow, who I'm bringing primarily for the Celesteela, because it's immune to the Leech Seed, immune to Earthquake if it's going an Earthquake set. It resists the Steel, it's neutral to its Flying Stab, and then Thunderbolt. Z Thunderbolt has a very good chance to kill, and with Stealth Rocks up on a switch-in, it would definitely kill. And then Leaf Storm for some Grass Stab for the Mega Swampert. Hidden Power Poison so I'm not walled by all his grass types. And then Defog in case he sets up rocks or webs, because I'm pretty sure Slurpuff gets webs. I don't want that. I don't want to deal with that. And then that's what the special attack's for. It's so that I can, because max special attack doesn't one-shot anyway, so I figure there's no point running it. I'll just run most deadly attacks so I can have some bulk as well. Then last but certainly not least is Flying Arceus. Now he's flying mainly so that I can be immune to one of Mega Swampert's stabs. This is my physical wall, it needs to be able to handle Swampert pretty well. So it's immune to the ground typing, and it can hit back with the Grass Pledge. But it also has Thunderbolt, Air Slash so it can hit the grass types on his team, which it also walls being a flying type, especially Serena. And then Thunderbolt so we can hit stuff like Politoed or Celesteela. And then Parting Shot just for some, switch initiative. It's a good move. And that's the team for this week. On his team, what I'm mostly scared of is the Nihilego, since Florges, Rotom, and my Arceus are all weak to its stab. And then Scizor can't really handle it either, because it will most likely have HP Fire. And now Piloswine actually takes an Energy Ball fairly well. It does just under half, and then it can hit back with Earthquake and one-shot if it has to. And then Mew, assuming it's not Chuggaberry, I can one-shot it after I get an Agility up, with Earth Power, of course. Now Volcanion's actually pretty scary too. If it's Choice Specs max special attack, that can sweep through my entire team. I'd have to rely on whittling it down with some, priority moves, and so I can finish it off with maybe an Ice Shard or something from Piloswine. Not sure yet. That thing scares me a lot. But other than that, I think I can probably handle the rest of his team. So without any further ado, let's get to the battle. So unfortunately, when I was recording my audio live as I was battling, there was some audio error with the recording, so I can't really use that. So I decided I would just re-record it for this week with the replay. And hopefully by next week, I'll have figured it out and it'll be fine. So anyway, when I saw his team in team preview, I was disappointed to see the Volcanion because I knew how much of a threat that would be to me. But also I figured he would lead with the Galvantula and get sticky webs up. But since I don't really have anything that can one-shot it, and even if I did, I'm sure it's sashed, I figured I'll just go with Florges, since it can tank it pretty well and still do over half to it. Like, that's regular slow. So then, Galvantula does go for the sticky webs here, as I go for Moonblast, and the crit is certainly nice. But figured after this, he would just stay in and try to sack it, so I went for Wish. But he swapped the Celesteela, actually. And then after this, I figured I'll go to Rotom. It can tank Leech Seed, anything that this thing wants to do. That's pretty much why I brought Rotom, for the Celesteela. And then at this point, I was trying to decide who we would swap into, and I figured it wouldn't be Swampert or Politoed, just for obvious reasons, since it's a grass type against water type. But I figured since it's an electric type, he wouldn't swap into Volcanion either, since it was likely I would click Thunderbolt against the Celesteela. So when Volcanion came out, I was pretty surprised. I figured Superior was coming out, and then so I would just click Defog, and then HP Poison after that, as it was setting up its Leaf Storms. But if I had clicked Thunderbolt, that would have been huge if I had done that. But I just went for Defog instead. At this point, I have nothing for Volcanion, so I went into my Thick Fat user, hoping it wasn't Specs, which based on the damage, it isn't Specs. And then knowing that, I can go into Florges, since it can't do that much to me, so you can see that. And now, I didn't think he had a poison move, I didn't realize it got Sludge Wave. So I just went for Wish, thinking I would take a Steam Eruption. But I took the Sludge Wave relatively well, I thought. So then I figured I'll just click HP Rock since I'm about to heal from the Wish, and I can live one more of anything he goes for. And then after this, I just went for HP Rock some more, get some damage off on it. I think at this point I was just sacrificing the Florges to get it low enough for something else to come in. But he swapped into Celesteela instead, so I knew obviously I would have to swap into Rotom again. So which is what I did. As you'll see after this. I went back into Rotom. He went for Air Slash, which did do more than I would have liked against my Rotom. And now at this point I figured he was staying in and gonna click Air Slashing, so I went for the Z move. But unfortunately he swapped out, and I used my Z move for nothing, which really sucked. But then after this was interesting, he went into Volcanion, which after seeing Florges outsped means Rotom does too, so I just clicked Thunderbolt and killed it for free. I wasn't too sure about that play, it might have just been a mistake, but either way, then he sent in the Politoed to set up the rain. And I figured he was going to go for Ice Beam, so I went on into Florges to take it, but he was trying to Encore me into an electric move, so that he could get a free swap into Swampert, which was a nice play, if he pulled it off. But then after this, I figured I'll just go for Wish, so I can get a free swap into something on the Swampert. And Silvally was made to handle this Swampert, so I swapped into it. But whenever I do calcs, I forget to put the rain on for Swampert, so it took more damage than I expected. But thankfully the Wish healed me back up, so I can go for a Grass Pledge against it. But then he swapped into Celesteela. And so like I've been doing, actually no, this time I stayed in and clicked Thunderbolt to see how much damage it would do, see how tanky it was. And it didn't do, I mean it did a good amount I suppose, but the important part here is that it paralyzed, which was huge. Because this thing is slow now. And then after this I just parting shouted out into something else. I figured this would be the perfect time to set up Mew, but he broke through and went for the Leech Seed, which means it wasn't Mew's time just yet. So I figured I'd go into Scizor, which tanks it probably at least as well as Rotom. Doesn't tank the Leech Seed of course, but he actually swaps here too into Superior, which is good, because U-turn will do a lot. And then if he swaps U-turn, still good as well, of course. So I U-turn off the Swampert, and then go into Silvally again. And then the swap here for Swampert is pretty obvious on the Grass Pledge, but I figured I can just go for Air Splashes against the Superior anyway, getting it low enough for, an Ice Shard from Piloswine. So that's what I did here. I took the Leaf Storm and the Dragon Pulse and just went for Air Slash a couple times. Thankfully I didn't miss, otherwise this thing might have just swept at this point. So I don't have Bullet Punch on Scizor. And then so Piloswine comes in and just clicks Ice Shard. And then he brought in Politoed to get the rain back up, of course. And I figured it was dead here, my Piloswine, so I just went for EQ. And thankfully he overpredicted. And I did get some damage off. And I did the calcs here, and in order for me to kill it with an Energy Ball, it needed an Ice Shard. So I just went for Ice Shard once more before I died to the Scald. So then I brought in Mew here. I wasn't ready to set up, but I did click Energy Ball, even thinking he might just sacrifice it at this point, but he didn't. So now that Celesteal is in, I can just switch into Rotom again, and then I think it's time where I can finish it off, since everything on his team is weak to Grass or Electric. So, but even if he swaps, it's still fine. Oh no, I went into Scizor here. That's my mistake. I went into Scizor to knock off the leftovers. And since even if he went to something else, knockoffs, pretty safe to click here. And then after the Leech Seed, this is when I swapped into Rotom. I wanted to get the leftovers off before I started to finish him off with Rotom. So now I swap into Rotom here. And I click Thunderbolt, hoping I don't get paralyzed. Or hoping that I don't get flinched. But then I forgot he's paralyzed, so he's slower than me anyway. And that para doesn't really matter there, since Politoed outspeeds anyway, you can just click Ice Beam. So Celesteal is down now, and it's just 2. Unfortunately, I couldn't have killed him before the rain stopped. But either way, Politoed's in with the rain. So I figured, now's my only chance to set up with Mew. So I go out into Mew, predicting the Ice Beam. I take it pretty well. Then I set up my Rock Polish here, knowing I can live the Scald. And thankfully he doesn't get the burn, because if he got the burn, my Energy Ball would have killed me with the Life Orb damage. And then I wouldn't have had Mew to deal with Swampert. And I don't know how I would have dealt with it at that point, but it would have been a different game. So now that I'm set up, I can just click Energy Ball twice and finish up the game. Overall, I think both me and my opponent both played well. I just think that losing Volcanion so early for him is what ultimately cost him the game, because Volcanion and Swampert were both his biggest threats. With one of them gone, Swampert was easier for me to deal with than Volcanion was. But again, he played very well. It was a good game. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for my Week 2 UDN battle.